think it's very safe to say that modern dating is kind of a nightmare. I asked single people who followed me on Instagram for their input. Here it is. Online dating is awful. Chat for a day and they disappear. It's truly awful. It's bad. That about sums it up. My following is primarily women, so I got mostly women's responses, but a lot of them were just saying that like men expect sex, like basically upon exchanging names, it sounds like. Yeah. A nightmare. There are a lot of reasons that single people hate the dating scene that they're stuck in. We're going to talk about that in this video, but the first most glaring reason is dating apps. So I've noticed that even people who did meet online or people who are actively using dating apps will say it's not what they prefer. They would much rather meet somebody in person. But if you're in the modern dating scene, you know you don't have much of an option but to download Tinder and start swiping. One of the big frustrations that people quickly feel is the difference in how men and women experience the dating app. To break it down, women receive significantly more matches than men do, largely because men are swiping right more often, saying, yes, I would like to match with her, way more often than women swipe right on men. This is because women are far more selective, while men have a lower standard of women to match with. And before you go, yeah, men are trash, they have such low standards and they're trying to get with as many women as they can. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not coming after men. I'm not coming after women. I'm just kind of laying it out as it stands. Because women are more selective, at least on dating apps, men end up with fewer or no matches unless they start swiping right more often. I think it's all psychological. Like the average man on a dating app will very quickly learn, even if he doesn't recognize it, I need to start swiping right more because I'm getting no matches with the current standard I'm swiping with. So he kind of has no other option but to perhaps lower his standard to make a match, because that's the whole reason he's on the dating app. And then after a few times of perhaps being ghosted, because apparently everybody just ghosts each other online, he learns, okay, I need to actually start swiping right even more because even the women that will match with me may still ghost me. So it's a numbers game to the average man, because it kind of has to be a numbers game unless you're like the mega Chad that a bunch of women swipe right on. And then women perceive that reality, that numbers game, that this man may have swiped right on me, not because he's super interested in me, but because he's just trying to increase his chances of getting a match. And then another psychological point, regardless of whether you're a man or a woman, it's really unsettling to know that the person you might be exclusively talking to might be testing the waters with other people in a DM right below yours, like an endless number of people. And that kind of pressure seems really consequential to me. I think singleness in general just kind of encourages pretty competitive behavior from men and women. Since you always feel like you're being examined and compared to other candidates in the dating field, there is just, realistically speaking, a lot of pressure to perform and to appear so interesting and maybe drop your standards because there's really fierce competition out there. But it seems like that competitive atmosphere is magnified by 10 times on a dating app because the other extremely attractive, interesting, funny, alternative candidates are literally one swipe, one text away. So there's so much pressure to perform, to impress. And I think that breeds a really ingenuine standard for communicating online in general. It's like a game was created for something that should have never been gamified. You swipe, you match, you message, you lose interest, you start over. I don't really like this player. Exit and restart. Ghost them if you want to. It doesn't really matter. You judge people on looks because that's really the main thing you can judge by. But even with good intentions, you likely keep hoping for somebody with a slightly better profile to come along. Psychologically, it just sounds like a very dangerous and exhausting game. And it seems that men and women at large hate the game. Like nobody enjoys playing it. And it doesn't help that dating apps don't actually want everybody to win, because that would mean deleting the app. And if my generation has learned anything in the last decade, it's that social platform apps, technology, will do immoral things to keep you using their platform. Might you meet your future spouse on this app? Yes, it's possible. Might you just get left horrifically damaged and feeling like a used up shell of a person? Also, yes. And those are basically your two options, which is horrifying. I don't want you to hear me saying that I don't believe you should use dating apps. My sister and her husband met online. They love each other. They have a beautiful family. I have great friends who met their spouses online. Online dating can be fruitful. And at the end of this video, I will give some practical advice for online dating. But for now, we move on.
Okay, so online dating kind of sucks. Just delete the dating app and go meet somebody in real life.
I'm so sorry if somebody has told you that. Where do you meet somebody in real life? Today, we do have fewer spaces dedicated to being with and around other people. We all know that. But I actually think the primary issue is not that we are lacking public spaces, but that every public space is competing with digital entertainment in some way. For example, college campuses still have lounges and cafeterias and places where you can meet people, and you're likely to run into the same people frequently. But casual social interactions are still a lot harder to come by because of digital distractions. Say you do see an attractive guy at the campus coffee shop. If his eyes are down on his phone, he will never look up to notice the girl noticing him, which is how love stories used to begin. Or maybe the attractive girl over there has her headphones in, giving the social cue that every single modern man would understandably interpret as her being uninterested in any kind of interaction. So then take that problem and apply it everywhere. Airports and airplanes used to be a spot where you were more or less forced to interact and socialize. And now it honestly feels weird to even just ask the name of the person who's sitting next to you for the next however many hours on your flight. We're annoyed when the airplane isn't a new enough model to have a screen in front of our face. But no worry, because we have something on our phone to watch or to listen to instead. Coffee shops pre-laptop era were truly for sitting down, lingering, recognizing regulars. Even if somebody was doing work at the coffee shop, they were largely aware of the people around them because they didn't have their favorite podcast playing in their headphones. Maybe headphones are like ruining humanity. I don't know. So in the few remaining opportunities to meet other singles or just people in general, most of us stare down at our phones. And if you're the rare person who doesn't do that, it almost feels useless because everyone else is. The problem is that we have so many options to distract ourselves, so it's eliminating our opportunities to meet other people. We don't notice each other anymore, and that's how every love story in our human history ever began, was because the guy or the girl noticed the other. But it actually goes further than this, because we've outsourced everything. You won't meet someone at the restaurant if you DoorDash.
Oh, well, maybe you'll hit it off with the cute DoorDash guy.
No, you won't, because he left it on the porch as you notified you wanted him to.
Maybe you'll meet the sweetest girl ever at the grocery store.
Nope, not if you Instacart. What about the barista at the coffee shop? Well, the online pickup option ensures you never have the chance to hit it off with the super cute barista over there who just happens to be single as well. Are you going to meet your nerdy boyfriend at GameStop? Nope, not anymore, because everything is a download now, apparently. This one was my husband's idea. I honestly had no idea that the gamer boys and girls were so impacted by GameStop disappearing, but I'm sorry if that is your reality. In outsourcing everything, we are decreasing our opportunities to meet people where mom and dad with the cute love story met 30, 40, 50 years ago. But I think this is where things get really interesting, because even with everything that's changed in our modern world, our souls are still desiring what they've always desired, which is depth, commitment, and yearning. Consider today what we are drawn to. That word yearning should have been your hint that I was going to talk about Pride and Prejudice, by the way. And men, before you click off this video thinking that this is clearly no longer for me, I guess if you don't want to know what millions of modern women are obsessed over in a man, then goodbye, I guess. Good luck. Or perhaps you stick around and take some notes about Mr. Darcy. There's like a whole corner of the internet dedicated to edits of Pride and Prejudice. I just so happen to know about it.
From the first moment I met you, your arrogance and conceit, your selfish disdain for the feelings of others made me realize that you were the last man in the world I could ever be prevailed upon to marry.
This comment, how he looked at her, I cannot. Somebody else said they don't make movies like this anymore. Hashtag bring back yearning.
I have fought against my better judgment, my family's expectation, the inferiority of your birth, my rank and circumstance, all these things, and I'm willing to put them aside and ask you to end my agony.
I don't understand.
I love you. Most ardently.
Most ardently.
You have bewitched me, body and soul, and I love you.
Oh my gosh. And every girl in the comments goes, please let this love find me. Every woman ever wants this kind of love to find her. That's all I'm saying. Women aren't all over this movie because we all want to go back to writing letters and being in horse-drawn carriages. Although personally, I do really romanticize that kind of lifestyle until I consider like getting sick or something and then dying. Women love it because of the yearning, the tension, the anticipation, the restraint. But the problem is that the kind of love we all say we want requires things that modern dating does not encourage at all. Patience and self-control. That scene of Mr. Darcy speaking to the really emotional and kind of angry Elizabeth is one of the most popular ones because it's the epitome of yearning. He clearly wants to kiss her. She clearly feels so deeply for him. She'd probably kiss him back, but he doesn't kiss her, and we love it. I think we desire yearning so deeply today because self-control is an extremely unpopular virtue and we are starving for it. We're starving for it. Our souls long for it. Also, Mr. Darcy and Elizabeth Bennet weren't texting each other all day, FaceTiming all night. They went days, maybe weeks, without communicating at all. I can't remember. It's been a few years since I read the books. But the main point is that they had space in their communication, and that didn't kill their deep connection. It built it. But now we are in constant communication. Texting, Snapchatting, FaceTiming. There is no time to wonder and anticipate and slowly grow the depth. It's all quick and rushed and connected. And I don't want to lie, when I was dating my boyfriend, who is now my husband, we were always talking. But I look back now and I recognize that there would have been real value in setting some kind of standard of not texting or calling after 7 or 8 p.m., something like that. Not to make it legalistic, but to allow for healthy boundaries and anticipation and yearning. I don't know how to articulate it well enough at this point, but I do think there's something unhealthy about having such a heavy reliance on the person you're dating to just always be available, to always know what's going on in their life. To me, it seems too connected for people who aren't married. Take that with a grain of salt because it's kind of just a thought off the top of my head, but consider it. There's one more thing that we have to consider. It's like another piece of the puzzle of modern dating that often gets overlooked. And it's the kind of relationships that many of us grew up experiencing. Consider the family instability that many Gen Z adults witnessed as they were growing up. More children were growing up between multiple households, so there was more exposure to serial relationships like dad's girlfriend or mom's boyfriend, which statistically speaking, non-related adults in the household are the largest risks for children, not just physically, but also emotionally. It doesn't set a stable foundation the majority of the time. My age demographic saw fewer examples of lifelong, faithful, stable, healthy marriages, and instead were just subjected to nasty divorces or to parents who just never married in the first place. And I'm not trying to shame adults with all of these observations. I just think it's been way too long since we really focused on the children who grew up and continue to grow up with this kind of familial instability, because it's laying a really broken foundation for so many young people to try to grow up on and enter the world in. And so when it comes time to date, it's not always that people just don't want commitment. It could very well be that many have never actually seen faithful, lifelong commitment between a man or a woman. Or perhaps they don't want commitment because they're overcorrecting from the broken family that they experienced and they just swear off marriage in the first place because clearly commitment doesn't work. So I think it's unfair for anybody to blame young adults and the uncommitted dating scene that they find themselves in, because we're all just acting in accordance with how we were raised as children. It's just what we know, unfortunately. So consider all of this together, like what dating apps are doing to us psychologically, how we've replaced real interaction with digital distraction instead, and how many of us grew up without clear models of faithfully committed love. All of that together doesn't just change how we date, it changes how we see people in general. We've taken our efficient, filtered, optimized, ultra-consumerist standard of living and applied that to human beings. And when we do that, people start to feel like options, like something to compare and replace. We're seeing each other as profiles and products instead of people with souls and dignity. We didn't all wake up one day and just decide we want shallow, non-committed, confusing relationships. Like, yeah, sign me up for that. It's just the environment that slowly took root and then we learned to operate in it. Now, I don't want to just throw out all the reasons that modern dating kind of sucks and then just say, okay, thanks for joining. Good luck. That was fun analyzing why your dating life is so hard. Okay, bye. I do want to encourage singles and offer practical advice that I actually got from people who met their spouses online who are now in healthy, faithful marriages. I don't think the answer is just to play the modern dating game better. I think it's to just approach it differently, to instead use it as a tool to meet somebody, but then prioritize meeting with that person as quickly as you can in person. That's a piece of advice that I got from a great friend who did meet her husband online. Now they have a baby together and a beautiful marriage. She said, do not text for weeks on end. I think setting that as your standard also helps to avoid that temptation of performance texting, like we talked about earlier, where you just feel so much pressure to constantly impress and entertain over text, thinking about it logically, like you just will get bored of doing that, and you probably will end up moving on or being moved on from if all you do is text for weeks on end. Also, to me, it does indicate that one end of the party is not actually really invested in dating and they're more interested in being entertained. You should move on from that. But after you do meet and perhaps you hit it off, remember that you don't get depth without time. And forcing depth in a short amount of time, in my opinion, can often lead to a lack of really important boundaries. So make your intentions clear, but then be patient and make that clear as well, that you don't want to rush through things, but you do want to really get to know this person and get deep. At the end of the day, I don't think that modern dating is frustrating because people suddenly forgot how to love, although there is some of that. I think it's primarily confusing because we're trying to build relationships in a way that doesn't match who we are as humans. But if we start understanding who we are as humans better, our relationships will also be better. We're not just bodies or profiles or consumers choosing between options and treating each other so disposably. We are people. You are somebody that is made in the image of God, which means you're made for relationship and for self-gift and love that is rooted not in convenience and in feelings, but in commitment and depth. Once we start to see ourselves that way and see other people that way, I think relationships in general will just be so much more prone to flourishing. Thank you for joining today. And if you do have a story where you met your significant other online, perhaps share it down below if you feel comfortable doing so. I love the idea of giving each other hope and reminding each other we are created for such a time as this, that dating in the modern age might be frustrating, but it absolutely can be fruitful, is fruitful much of the time.